Shabbat Shalom, saints.
Shabbat Shalom.
Greetings from the Multitude of Christ Ministry, here where we seek to teach all nations of people how to find true salvation according to the word of Yah and through history. My name is Brother Mike. I will be teaching the lesson today, and this is Raah Yahchanan who will read for me today. We're going to start with having a music selection, Salakia, from our music ministry, led by Musiq, and then we'll get right into today's lesson, which is titled, Men of Yah, Check Yourselves. Are you truly walking according to the ways of the Most High? Men of Yah, check yourselves. Are you walking according to the ways of the Most High? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and read our opening script, and then we will open up, read Yahweh's prayer coming from Luke chapter 11, and then we'll go ahead and have Musiq come up and sing. We'll get right into the lesson. Con? Alright, let's go ahead and stand and face Jerusalem. Go ahead. Shema Yasharah.
Shema Yasharah.
Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh Akkad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, now we're going to go ahead and read Yahweh's prayer coming from Luke chapter 11. Our Abba which art in heaven.
Our Abba which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name, Yahweh.
Hallowed be thy name, Yahweh.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
As in heaven.
As in heaven.
So on earth.
So on earth.
Give us day by day.
Give us day by day.
Our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
Forgive us our sins.
And forgive us our sins.
For we also forgive everyone.
For we also forgive everyone
That is indebted to us.
that is indebted to us.
Lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation,
But deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom,
And the power.
and the power,
And the glory forever.
and the glory forever.
In Yahweh's name we ask all these things.
In Yahweh's name we ask all these things.
Hallelujah.
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 All right, sisters and brothers, we're going to go ahead and have a music selection from our music ministry, led by Musiq. And after that, we'll go ahead and get right into today's lesson.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. All right. All praises. Let's get it. This song is called Get Yourself in Order, which is befitting for the lesson today. Hallelujah. Throwing this in your heart, better check yourself through. A proud look is just a start before you see your doom. So in a lot of discord, wicked you may be, but heart and not your heart, or face could let 'em way. Willing to kill one another, evil thoughts in your way. Lying on your brother will surely shorten your days. So quick to run to drama, workers of iniquity. Blinded by your own honor, gon' burn you continuously. Get yourself in order, self in order. Hey, get yourself in order, self in order. Get yourself in order, self in order. Get yourself in order, self in order. Hey, you better watch out because these things your power hangs. Hey, you better watch out before it may be too late. Come on, y'all. Hey, you better watch out because these things your power hangs. Hey, you better watch out before it may be too late. Listen, listen to these words I say.
Listen, listen.
Ooh, before the judgment day. Listen, listen. I am warning you. Listen, listen. Change your ways. Hey, you better watch out because these things your power hangs. Come on, y'all. Hey, you better watch out before it may be too late. Hey, you better watch out because these things your power hangs. Hey, you better watch out before it may be too late. Get yourself in order, self in order. I don't think that hurt me.
Get yourself in order, self in order.
Ooh, get yourself in order, self in order. Get yourself in order, self in order. Hey, you better watch out because these things your power hangs. Hey, you better watch out before it may be too late. Get yourself in order, self in order. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Get yourself in order. Wonderful, wonderful song. Goes right with today's lesson. Again, the title of today's lesson is Men of Yah. Check yourselves. Are you walking according to the ways of the Most High?
That's right.
In this lesson, we're going to learn some things. We're going to go on a journey. I just ask that y'all go with me as we study today. Because in our culture, in our community, in Israel, some of our brothers, some of our men, some of our leaders, fathers are out of order. And it is time for us as men to check ourselves and get aligned truly with the Most High Yah. We always have to keep in mind and remember that the Most High said that His ways are not our ways, and His thoughts are not our thoughts. He set a path, He gave instructions, He gave directions, He set an example, which was His Son. But yet and still, men of Yah are falling short. We still are not walking right and according to those ways. So hopefully through today's lesson, we will find out what those ways are. We will align ourselves aright. Like the song says, get yourself in order.
Yeah.
Because these things that we're doing now, Yahweh hate.
That's right.
And we got to do it before it's too late. Before it's too late. I got a question. Are you a true man of Yah? And before you answer this question to yourself or in front of anyone else, I want you to really think. Since you came into the knowledge of the truth, or since you came into your walk or your beginning in the truth, as you have came from a babe in need of milk to an adult where you're able to have bread, are you a true man of Yah? Are you doing everything that Yah requires of you as a man of Israel? Are you leading your family right? Are you leading your children right? What about your brethren around you? Are you an example for those brethren? Are you your brother's keeper? Or are you just somebody that talks? Somebody that looks the part, but is not actually the part? Because there's a lot of brothers out there like that. And a lot of our brothers are leading our sisters of Zion in the wrong direction, expecting things of them that you're not even willing to do yourself. So we're going to get an understanding today. But I want you to think about this question, because it's going to come back up again in this lesson. And at the end of this lesson, I want you to answer this question truly. And if you find yourself not in alignment with the Most High, ask and I pray that you do it today. Make that change. Repent. Ask for forgiveness. Stop sinning. Get yourself in order before it's too late. So let's take a look at an interesting statistic that I found. 80% of men today are one of these things. Rest assured. Number one, people pleasers or men pleasers. How many men do you know that'll do anything to show out for somebody? Or always have to be seen? Trying to impress someone, be it their homeboys, their own family, the women around them. People pleasers will do anything just to be seen, just to be in that spotlight, will do and say anything. It's a lot of brothers that's like that are people pleasers, men pleasers, that are behind bars today. So think about that. Are you a people pleaser? Are you a man pleaser? Next, attention seekers, aka influencers. What is the whole world doing today?
Influencer.
Trying to be the influence or the influencer, but instead you're being influenced. Everybody got a TikTok, everybody got a YouTube, everybody got an Instagram, everybody got a Facebook. But if you are a man of Yah and you have an Instagram or Facebook, YouTube, what kind of content are you putting out? Are you TikToking, nay, ripping yourself out the plastic, diddy bopping? Or are you trying to share the fruits and the words that can render salvation unto your brethren and your sisters? See, this is why we have to check ourselves, because we are in the world, but we're not supposed to be of the world. But a lot of times, brothers and sisters, we find ourselves following the ways of the world. And it's easy because we got this flesh on us. But when you devise to do something in your heart, which is your mind, you can't blame it on the flesh, because that's free will. And we already know that there is no more repentance. There is no more bloodshed of animals for will for sin. So what you got to do, you're going to have a whole lot of charity about yourselves. You're going to have a whole lot of get right and do right about yourselves in order to cover those sins, because scripture say charity covers a multitude of sins.
That's right.
Next we have worldly men, full of folly. A lot of us who say we're Israel, say we Israelites, say we Hebrew, we Brews. We got a lot of worldly ways about ourselves. Whether it be how we dress, outside of our communion together, our holy convocation, outside of when we gather up, how we talk, how we communicate with one another outside of us communing with each other and fellowshipping with each other, the way we carry ourselves. Is it our expression in our vehicles that we drive? We got worldly ways, brothers and sisters. But brothers, we got worldly ways. And as the head of your household, and as the head of your family, you dishonor your head when you don't follow his ways. Next, we have covetous. A lot of us are coveting the things, the lifestyles of our brothers and sisters. Oh man, look at Brother Craig over there, man. He got that nice whip. He got a beautiful wife. He got beautiful children. He got a big old house, man. I want that, man. Most High blessing Brother Craig over there. Man, look at Brother Johnny and his family, man. They got all this, they got all that. Look at Brother Mike. They taking trips, they going here, they doing that, man. They doing it up, they living it. Man, I want to be doing that same thing. I should be doing that. Just coveting. We're not supposed to covet, brothers. But you can fall into covetousness being worldly. If you divulge or you enjoy or care more about the things of the world than the matters of the things of the Most High, this is how you fall into this 80% of men today. Covetous. Next, angry men, lack of patience. I hear some of our brothers talking amongst each other and talking to and talking at our people that we're trying to get to come into the knowledge of being Israel, and we talk to them so bad. Our women, we talk to them so bad. And you say this is the representation of the Most High, y'all forbid it. We are trying to do things and enact things and handle things that Yah said he's going to do and take care of himself. We are supposed to be teaching the nations. But we can't teach the nations because we want to be the one that passes down the judgment, that does the rule. If we had the ability to give some of our brothers and sisters the right to slay anyone that didn't follow the law, we would do it. And be joyous in it. But for some reason, we can't just keep the commandments, walk in the statutes, and be joyous in that. There has to be some kind of condition that goes along with it. You ain't a real Brew, you ain't a real Israelite unless you're doing this. I can't read that anywhere in the scripts. So that is a way of man, not a way of Yah. And we have to learn how to separate the two. Because right now, Israel, men, we have a bad reputation in the streets because of one or two camps. But those one or two camps don't represent all men of Yah. Definitely don't represent the men of the multitude of Christ. Because we are trying to align ourselves right and walk in truth with the Most High, in His truth, walking in His ways, keeping His Shabbats, His feast days. That's what we're trying to do here, and that is something that all of us as men of Yah should be trying to do. Envious, wicked men. I heard so many things about things that go on in Israel. I'm not just talking about men in the world. I'm talking about in Israel, Israelite men. It's all on Facebook, all on social media, all in the conversations in the mouths of other people, whether it be talebearing or not. I hear so many things that's going on with our brothers, and I'm wondering, how is that? How be it? This is not according to the word of Yah. This ain't what He told us to do. How do you justify it? How do you make it right. Anybody can take a scripture and say, this is why I do that, but just because that is your interpretation of it, or your meaning of it, or your doing of it, doesn't mean that that's aligned with the Most High. He said, He is Yah, and He changes not. So if you decide to do something contrary to Scripture, that's on you. We can't go back and say, that's what Yah said. No, that's what you said. That's what you said. Fornicators, whoremongers, and adulterers is going on with the brothers, with the men who say they're men of Yah. Now, I'm not talking about brothers that have chosen second wives and done it rightfully according to Scripture. But there are some brothers out here that's living their life out of the lust of their heart because they want to be with two women, because they're trying to fulfill some kind of fantasy that they may have had when they were in the world. Now they came into the truth and like, oh man, I can get it on. I can do this now. Y'all gave me a pass. No, He didn't. He gave you an instruction. He gave you a law to follow. But some of us ain't doing it lawfully. We're doing it lustfully. And it's going to cause you and that sister or those sisters of Zion to be in the lake of fire if you don't stop it. A lot of people start running to Hebrewism, Israelitism, when they say, oh man, you have two wives, bro, man. And everybody starts running in. But you don't want to do what's required of you as a man of Yah first before you can become a husband. We forget the parameters of being a husband. We forget the responsibilities and being a husband. We forget that the covenant of marriage and how important it is to the Most High and how important it is to Israel. We forget about that when we start lusting. We seeking after and lusting after women of other nations, so we want to try to use the 12 tribes to make them Israel so we can fulfill the lust of our heart. How is that so? Let's be honest. We don't know what tribe we're from. We know that we are Israel. We know that we are the chosen of the Most High. We know that we are one of the 12 tribes. But you don't know which one specifically.
That's right.
Don't give me a title. Don't tell me I'm a Levite. Oh, you Judah, you this. No, I don't want to hear that, because the Most High is going to separate the wheat from the tare. He's going to put you where you're supposed to be. I don't want no brother telling me who I am, because I can read it right now, I don't know. But what I do know, I'm somewhere in there. As long as I'm in there, as long as I'm counted in, that's all that matters to me. And that's what should matter to you. But trying to be specific and stand in one just so you can infract your lust is not according to the Most High. And we gotta stop doing it, because it's causing internal bleeding. And I say internal because it's an infiltration in our Israelite community, in our heritage, in the way that we live, in the way that we walk, and it's starting to be a poison. It's starting to look like a bunch of folly to the rest of the world, when we're supposed to be examples for the whole world, for everyone. This next one, I made it bigger than everything else, and I even changed the color, because this one right here is one that's overtaking us, inside and outside of Israel. It says effeminate, which is gay or down low. Now, I had a conversation with someone, and we were talking, and a question came about how people live their lives, and are they going to be accepted or go to heaven according to how they live. And my answer to that question is that every man is going to be judged according to his works. I can read that. And I can also read the things that the Most High said he liked, the things that are accepted. I can also read that there's things that he said that he hated. And I can also read that there's a specific type of person that he said will not inherit the kingdom. But some of us are going to these other camps or going to Sunday churches, these other places, and hearing something totally different. But we're going to pause right here and go to the next slide so we can take a look at this effeminate. Because a lot of people say, what does effeminate mean? I never read that. I never saw that in the Bible. It's in there, trust me. Effeminate. The definition of effeminate is derogatory. Right off the bat, it's a derogatory thing, right? With reference to a man having characteristics and ways of behaving traditionally associated with women and regarded as inappropriate for a man. Inappropriate for a man. The second definition, having feminine qualities, untypical of a man, not manly in appearance or manner. It is overcrowded. It is taking over our men. Because men think that they can act or enact in this way and still say, I'm a man. Or say, I'm a man of God. Or I'm a man of God. Now, we know the word, we know the definition, but for those that have said they've never seen or read this word in the Bible, let's take a look at the script. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 6, verses 9 through 10. See, I want y'all to understand, Brother Mike didn't just make this word up. Brother Mike didn't just create this. Brother Mike ain't just talking off the top of his head. Brother Mike studied. And I'm going to tell you what the script says. Whenever someone asks me my opinion is what the word of Yah says. Because I believe this word to be true. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. Go ahead,
Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah?
Know ye not. That means that you don't know, but you think. Right? But what you don't know is that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah. Go ahead, Al.
Be not deceived.
Be not what?
Be not deceived.
What is the deception? What are we all being deceived by today?
Yep.
Let's go over to John 3 and 16. This is the deception right here. This is what the whole world, even the world of Israel, some of us that's still under Christianity, this is what we believe. Go ahead, Al.
For Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish,
Should not.
but have everlasting life.
Right. Should not perish but have everlasting life. See, John 3 and 16 in itself is not a deception. It is the teaching of John 3 and 16 that is the deception. The teaching that Yah loved everybody in the world. Yah himself came down, manifested himself as the Son, put himself through immaculate conception in Mary's belly, came out and died on the cross in flesh by his own creation, allowed himself to be killed, but he did that because he loved everybody in the world. And all you have to do is believe that, and believe in him, and believe he is three people in one, and that belief alone grants you a pass to heaven. But that's not what this scripture says. Read verse 17, huh?
John 3:17. For Yah sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Might. So in 3 and 16 we have should, and in 3 and 17 we have might. These are conditional terms. There's conditions. That means that this alone ain't gonna do it. But the teaching of John 3:16 is just John 3 and 16. They don't read 17. They don't go all the way back up. to chapter 13 and 14 and read down. Verse 13, 14, read down. John 3 and 16 is a mantra in the Christian church. Everybody knows. Can quote it just like that. But it is not the script itself. Because you have to know what word the script is talking about. Yahweh himself said he came not but to the children, the lost tribes of Israel. He said he prays not for the world. So he said that. Don't you think that his father will be the same? He said, I and my father are the same. I don't do nothing of my own but what he said to do, what he told me to do, what he gave me the ability to do. But we are being taught contrary. So when we do something other than, or learn something other than, or talk something other than what the script says, it becomes no longer of Yah, but of man. Check yourselves, brothers. Are you following man, or are you following Yah? Well, let's go back to 1 Corinthians 6 and 9 through 10. Be not deceived, brothers and sisters. Be not deceived. Go ahead, Al.
Neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate.
Nor what?
Effeminate.
There's that word. See, Brother Mike didn't make that word up. This is script. For all those, it's New Testament. This is in the New Testament. But you don't read this in Christianity. I'm sure they're not teaching this in some of these so-called camps in Israel. You don't read it. It's right there in script. Nor effeminate. What?
Nor abusers of themselves with mankind.
Will do what? I'm sorry, go ahead, Al. Verse 10.
Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revelers, nor extortioners
Shall do what?
shall inherit the kingdom of Yah.
See? See? In the script, in your New Testament, there it is. So you can't blame it on the Old Testament. This is under your Jesus, so-called Jesus, under his rule, but it's Yahweh. This is why Christianity has put such a stain on the world. Because they'll tell you one thing, but when we go through and read, and again, they can't blame it on the old, because it's in the new.
Right.
Because the new is supposed to confirm the old. On your own time, go and read Leviticus chapter 19. Do it on your own time. You'll see that the new confirms the old. Let's go back to our list. Ungodly men, no temperance. It's a lot of ungodly brothers walking around here today. Some saying that they are man of Yah. I'm a man of God. I hear so many people say that. It's so common today in the world of people that are religious or have some kind of religion about themselves or have some kind of belief. When it comes to a man, it's a man of God. I heard a lady greet a man the other day. How you doing, man of God? Do you know that that man is a man of God? Do you know how that man lives? Do you know how that man is on a day-to-day basis? How does he walk? I can't just call you a man of God if I don't know how you live. I don't know if you're keeping the commandments or not. I don't know if you're in sin or not. I don't know what you're involved in. I can't reverence you as a man of Yah if I can't see it in you, according to Scripture. And we have to be careful when we come into acquaintance with our brethren from these other camps and these other places, because we don't know them. Unless you're involved with that camp or you know these people personally, we cannot make the assumption that everybody that say Israel or say Hebrew is walking a line in accordance to the word of God. We have to start trying our own people. And it's sad that we got to do it, but we have to do it. Because there is division in Israel. A lot of it. The biggest thing is the name. So we can be divided by something as simple as a name. What else are we being divided by? What we're being taught. Because your pastor, your moray, whomever you follow, may have an agenda, may have his own beliefs, may have his own recollection of what the Most High says. Or may feel like the Most High has shown him specifically something different than he's shown any other man that's picked up this biblos.
That's right.
And if you follow that and become a respectable person, then you shed your way of Yah and become a man pleaser, a man follower. 80% of men today are that. Liars. Most I say, hate a lying tongue. But just like some of our sisters do, men talebearer, men lie. Lie for what? See, when they was just saying, or something you say when we was kids, when you had siblings, I know my brother's done it for me. My brother's told a lie to keep me from getting my butt towed up. You know, I've lied to keep some of my cousins from getting in trouble. I've lied for so-called friendship. Because my knowledge of what a lie was, there was white lies, little white lies, and then there was big lies, right? Then I come into the truth and find out that a lie is sin, and that there's no sin greater than any other. But the Most High said he hate liars. My mama used to say growing up that she can't stand a liar and a thief, because she said if you will lie, you will steal, and if you will lie and steal, you will kill somebody behind doing just those two things. See, we gotta be honest men of valor. We gotta be able to stand up and tell the truth. If we're living in the truth, we're supposed to be walking the truth. But how can you when you can't speak it? Check yourselves, brothers. You ain't got to tell me that you've been lying. You ain't got to tell nobody else. It's between you and the Most High Yah. It's up to you to get it right. Next, cowards. There's a lot of cowardly men that say I'm a man out here walking around. But when it comes time to stand up for what's truthful and what's right, we're going to see. How many of us are going to really be willing to lay down our lives when they come knocking at your door, saying, get down and lay down? How many of us are going to lay down? How many of us are going to get down? Like some of our other brothers did back in the Greek rule. When Antiochus Epiphanes, but y'all may not know about Antiochus Epiphanes, huh? Because y'all don't read. Y'all don't read this. Y'all let y'all pastors and y'all mores tell y'all to put this down, throw this away. It ain't got nothing to do with the Most High. It's not fruitful. All lies. Because I can read this and I can line it up with the 66 books. Some of y'all don't even know that this was in your original Bible. But the Catholic Church took it out, but they still teach from it. Why is that? They want their people to know something that they don't want you to know. We gonna see. There's a lot of brothers out here talking. Y'all want to kill white people. Y'all want to make white people y'all slaves. Y'all want to condemn them. But will you lay down your life for the Most High Yah when it get real? Or are you going to get down to get by so that you can feed your family? We gonna see. We gonna see. Haters of themselves, a lot of men know that you ain't right. You know you ain't right. And you hate yourself for it, secretly, behind closed doors. Instead of aligning yourself right You wake up every day and put on this facade, put on this mask, and you walk out your door saying, I'm a man of Yah, knowing that inside you, you can't stand the person that you are. A true man of Yah is not going to hate himself. He delights in the laws of Yah, in the word of Yah.
That's right.
He's delighted to walk in the ways of Yah. You ain't got nothing to hate yourself for. But when you know that you ain't right, and you dealing with that sin, you persecute yourself. You hate yourself. When all you have to do is put it down, align yourself aright, don't do it no more. A righteous man falls, but he get back up. Some of us don't ever get up. And that's the problem. Thugs, gangsters. It's sad that yet again we get a derogatory term in effeminate, but we get a derogatory term in thug, gangster. A lot of our sisters, they want a thug, they want a gangster. They come into the truth, they want a Hebrew thug, they want a Hebrew gangster. I hear some of my brothers saying they Hebrew thugs, they Hebrew gangsters. But you cannot be, and I want you to look at me when I say this, you cannot be a thug and a gangster and represent the Most High Yah.
That's right, make it plain.
You cannot. Well, gangster and thug mean a person that's in the street. Okay, in the street doing what?
Exactly.
You in the street on the corner, you say you teaching the word of God being fruitful, but you're not, you persecuting. You passing down unrighteous judgment. You were trying to get people that know their faith to understand their faith from your perception. Don't get it twisted. They know. They know more than you know. That's why they're trying to get all they can get while they yet live. Because when it comes time to pay, they can't run from it. Scripture say Yahweh gonna come with them angels and he gonna read. Vengeance is mine, said Yah. What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, brothers. If we don't get right, the rest of the body can't get right.
That's right.
We have to be the example. You can't lead if you're a follower. There's a saying that says you have to be a follower before you can be a leader. But if you stuck following, you'll never be prepared to lead. You have to transition at some point. The only thing that you should forever follow is Yah and His Word. You gotta get right, brothers. The last thing is murders. There's a lot of killing going on. We're killing each other. Killing our children, killing our women, killing ourselves. But for what? Worldly gain, worldly admiration and praise. It's people in Israel dying. It's cases right now that's going on. If you see them come across Facebook or whatnot, that shouldn't be. But some kind of way we seem to try to justify these things according to script. Everything ain't scriptural. Everything ain't of the Most High Yah, brothers and sisters. We got to stop pinning everything on the Most High and His Word and His Son and start calling it what it is. We following and listening to our pastors and these mores without checking them. Check the checker. Raah said all the time, you listening to me, you reading along with me, don't believe me, go back and do the research yourself. Go back and read these scripts for yourself. Ask the Most High to give you an understanding. But we want to follow, we rather be led than to try to lead. We rather sit back and be comfortable with somebody telling us something. We don't want to go back and read it ourselves because we believe in the man. Man will let you down all the time. But Yah will never fail you.
Never.
You can't go wrong with Yah. Remember that, brothers and sisters. Before destruction, there's always been a warning in Israel. Am I right?
That's right.
But you know what? We just didn't heed those warnings. And every time it's caused us to be in a bad spot, in a bad place. And now we in that bad place, in that bad spot, and what we doing? Calling on Yah. When we should have just did what he said in the first place. We have to heed the warnings, brothers and sisters.
That's right.
There are warnings because if you heed them, it can save you. But when you don't heed the warning, you find yourself on the other side of the fence.
That's right.
These 6 things Yah hates. 7 is an abomination. For all of y'all that say Jesus loves the whole world, Jesus loves everybody, or we say Yahweh, no. Because if his father hated him, the son hated him too. And once again, we coming from the New Testament. So this is coming from Proverbs 6 and 16, verse 19. This is coming from the Old Testament. Go ahead, Doc.
Proverbs 6 and 16. These 6 things doth Yah hate. Yeah, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood.
Didn't we read that 80% of men today are one of these things? Here it is in script calling out these things that Yah hate. Here we are once again. See, the things that men do in the world, we think that it's just heard of and just saw right now. No, it goes back to the script. It's nothing new under the sun. Go ahead, Al.
Verse 18, a heart that deviseth wicked imagination.
See, a heart that devises wicked imagination. It is not this thing in your chest. It does nothing but pump blood. We're talking about your mind. Your mind. Your mind. What you think to do. Go ahead, Al.
Feet that be swift in running to mischief.
See? Every time there's something going on that ain't right, where is Israel at?
Right there watching.
Right there watching, with your phone out, recording, posting it on social media, trying to get likes, trying to get paid off of the dismay of other people.
Right.
And it be your own brothers and sisters, your own family at that. Go ahead, Al.
Verse 19, a false witness that speaketh lies.
So there we go. I told y'all that the Most High hated liars. Go ahead, Al.
And he that soweth discord among brethren.
He that soweth discord among brethren. It's a lot of discord amongst the brethren right now today. In Israel, outside of Israel. It's a lot of discord amongst us today. But instead of us trying to resolve it and dissolve it, we like to keep it going. Why? Because it's something to talk about. When I turn on TV or when I look at social media, I don't want to see my Israelite brothers railing and fighting against one another. Over nothing. When we all supposed to be out here fighting the same fight. We all supposed to be out here pushing the same cause. But instead, because I'm over here and I got all these camps and all these churches over here and you over there and you got those and we bigger than this, we need to fight. Everybody said, Kwam Yahchanan, rise Israel, rise, come together, but we more far apart than anything. How can we come together when we can't even be in the same venue amongst one another without it being hatred, fighting, arguing, fussing, cussing, the way we talk? The things that we do and say that we Israel, I mean, it just amazes me. Some of the things that our brothers do. Smoke weed, get drunk, cuss, fight, still hanging with the same brothers on the block that you was hanging with. Why? Because you were a gang before. You came into Israel, you still a gang. You still have gang behavior. You still have a gang mentality. And it's ruining the reputation visually of the men of Yah, of Israel. It's to the point where you almost don't want to tell nobody you a Hebrew Israelite. Because if anybody search that term, what's going to come up is not going to be appeasing to anyone. Nobody will want to be a part of Israel if they search that and see what's going on and what's being pushed and what's being focalized, what they got the microscope on. Because it does not befit something that someone would want to be a part of or do. And say that they serve the true and almighty God, or the true and almighty God. How can we get our brothers and sisters that are in Christianity to even be enticed to come into the truth? To even be moved to seek the Most High in spirit and truth, if we out there acting a fool? I wouldn't want to be a part of something like that if I was outside of the truth. Because it seems like, man, those people crazy. They in a cult. And that's what the main thing that you hear about our brethren and our sisters. They in a cult. But we got to realize some of us have cultish behaviors. Did we finish that out?
We did.
All right. The big two. Say, big brother Mike, what is the big two? I ain't talking about what people say the two and the only commandments are. Again, we're talking about men and brethren checking themselves, trying to figure out if we are really walking in the ways of the Most High, trying to align ourselves aright. Well, these are two of the biggest things that we need to check about ourselves before we can call ourselves a true man of Yah. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5. This is men of folly. We saw that back in our list of what the 8% of men are today, right there. We got worldly men, full of folly, right? So we still going in accordance to our list. I want y'all to understand that this list is made up because of the things that are written in the script that describe the activities and the behavior of our men in the truth today. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 1 through 5. Men of folly. Go ahead, Al.
My son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth.
Wait a minute. You are snared with the words of your mouth. We're going to look at this in another version, because I want y'all to really understand what's being said. Go ahead, Al.
Thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself. When thou art come into the hand of thy friend, go, humble thyself, and make sure thy friend.
When y'all are coming into the hand of their friend, wait a minute. Friend? See, you're going to find out real quick that your definition of friend and the definition that Yah has of a friend is two different things. Yahweh shall say a friend is someone that would die for you and lay down their life for you, as he did. Him call it friend. If these brothers that you walk with ain't willing to die for you, ain't willing to die for the Most High Yah, why call it them friend? say, my brother, I'm that brother that be willing to do it if I know that you were walking right, if I had to. If I say, man, this brother, I can lay down my life for this brother, I can tell you 100% without any staggering, without any hesitation. I lay down my life for this brother right here. I lay down my life for my brethren because I know that you're walking according to the ways of Yah. But if you ain't walking that way, I can't say that I would do that for you, brother. All right. My reward is with the Father. I ain't worried about nothing here on this earth. I want that forever thing, that forever life. See, that's what we should be seeking. But instead, we want money, cars, drugs, women, and still be Israel. We want the limelight. We want to rap. We want to be Israelite thugs and gangsters. Hood is Hebrew hood music. Come on, man. Every time I hear that broadcast on the Hebrew music station, man, I love like Hebrew hood music. Do y'all? I'm just saying. I want y'all to think about that. Y'all are telling me that y'all gonna stand before the Father and His Son and say, Yahweh, we put out that Hebrew hood music in honor of y'all, and that's gonna be accepted. I'm not Yah. I'm just saying, I don't know, but I don't see it. I'm not convinced that He's gonna be pricked and happy that you put out Hebrew hood music. Man, I wish I would change that on that commercial. Anyway, go ahead.
Proverbs 6, verse 4. Give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thine eyelids. Deliver thyself as a robe from the hand of the hunter.
Wait a minute, of the hunter? Hunter? Man, go ahead, Al.
And as a bird from the hand of the fowler.
All right, so now this is the King James Version. King James was a little nice with his words. Like Raah said last Shabbat. He's a little nice. Now we're going to read this in the NIV and the NLT. And it's going to have a little bit more of a steam, but y'all need to feel it. Y'all need to feel it. Let's read this in the NLT. Go ahead, Raah.
My child, if you have put up security for a friend's debt or agreed to guarantee the debt of a stranger.
If you have put up security for a friend's debt or put up a guarantee to the debt of a stranger, go ahead.
If you have trapped yourself by your agreement and are caught by what you said.
See, when you're full of folly, when you're out here laddy-gagging and flocking around in the world, you out here worried about your friends, you out here staking claim to things that people are doing that you do not know. You don't know how that brother lived or how that brother walked when he's not around you, but you are willing to put your life on the line. You're willing to secure your life to the debt of that friend, to the debt of a stranger. Go ahead, Al.
Verse 3, follow my advice and save yourself.
Save yourself, Yah said. Why is he saying that, Al?
For you have placed yourself at your friend's mercy.
At your friend's mercy. You see that? You have put yourself at the mercy for the very people that you were calling yourself a friend to. You are indebted to that person now. And your fate is their fate. That's why I tell my boys, 19 years old and 14 years old, stop being worried about friends.
Come on now, make it plain. For real.
Friend don't mean you no good unless they are a true friend. If you can't call that friend brethren, you don't need them. Don't be associated with them because you out here fighting a lost cause, putting your name and your blood on the line for a stranger.
Yep, that's real.
Go ahead, Al.
Now swallow your pride.
Swallow your pride. Because that's what it is with us as men. We so doggone prideful. Can't nobody tell us nothing. We hard-headed. But we should be past those prideful and hard-headed days and ways if we walking according to the word of God. Check yourselves, brothers. Because this is what we're doing right now. Go ahead, Al.
Go and beg to have your name erased.
Have your name erased. Say go and do what?
Beg.
Beg. Who you gonna beg? The Most High Yah. That's who you gonna beg. Go ahead, Al.
Don't put it off. Do it now.
Do it right now. Stop, brothers. Align yourselves right now. Right now. Time is running out, brothers, whether you believe it or not. We don't know the day nor the hour. Do it now. Like they say in the cemetery, while the blood is running warm in your veins. Do it now. Go ahead, Al.
Don't rest until you do.
Don't rest.
Save yourself like a gazelle escapes from a hunter, like a bird fleeing from a net.
Save yourself like a gazelle escapes from a hunter. Sometimes they don't escape, do they out there? Sometimes they get caught. That's right. And there they are laid across somebody's table. That's sausage and steak, venison. Gazelle is part of the deer family. And let's take a look at it in the NIV. Proverbs 6:1-5. This is the NIV version. Go ahead, Al.
My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor.
Now we get a little bit more personal because the NLT said friend. Now we're talking about that neighbor. And in Israel, we know your neighbor is your brother. Go ahead, Al.
If you have shaken hands in pledge for a stranger.
For a stranger whom is not your brother. Go ahead.
You have been trapped by what you said.
You have been trapped by the thing that you said, by what you swore, by what you agreed upon. Whatever that thing may be. Go ahead, Al.
Ensnared by the words of your mouth.
Ensnared by the words of your mouth. When you make a pledge to the Most High, when you swear an oath to the Most High, you better fulfill that oath.
That's right.
Go ahead, Al.
So do this, my son.
Do this.
To free yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Since you have fallen into your neighbor's hands, go to the point of exhaustion and give your neighbor no rest. Allow no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the snare of a fowler.
See? Serious, brothers and sisters. This is not no game. What you swear to, what you subscribe to, can be the death of you.
That's right.
Or it can be the life of you.
That's right.
We got to understand that, brothers and sisters. We think it's a game. We think we got all the time in the world. Once I can cut your light out right now, tomorrow, and you didn't have time, which means you died in your sin. Now you're going to have to stand in judgment and pray that you got more good than bad. I don't know what we want to get our brothers and sisters to do to understand this, man. If you were living in sin and you die in it, even if you said you was a man of God or you was a man of God, you're going to be judged according to your works.
That's right.
I'm pleading with y'all, brothers. Stop it now. While you got a chance. Do it now before it's too late. Or just like that gazelle that's being chased down by that hunter. If God ain't with you, you're going to find yourself caught. And you don't want to be caught in that lake of fire. It's hot now outside. God forbid if the lake of fire is hotter than this, and I can't stand this. I don't want that.
I don't want it either.
I don't want that, man. I'm telling you. But I wanted y'all to see it in these because, like I said, I want you to get an understanding of what the Most High is saying in words and in terms that you can understand. You may not understand the term brethren or, but you can understand friend, you can understand stranger, you can understand neighbor. You see what I'm saying? We have to sometimes make it a little bit more simple, even though Yah's word is not hard to understand, but we make it hard, or we believe it's hard because we've been told that, right? Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 2, we learned about the men of folly, right? But now, let's learn about the wicked and naughty men, right? Because I said there was the big 2. And these 2 things will lead you down that real narrow path that if you ain't got no balance, you're going to fall off. Y'all ever seen in the circus of people walking across that little bitty line and you wonder, how do people do that? It ain't easy. It's preparation, dedication, right?
That's right.
Let's go to Proverbs 6. We're going to read we already there, right? We're going to read verses 12 through 15. This is the second of the big 2, right? Men of folly. Now let's look at wicked and naughty men. Go ahead, Al.
A naughty person, a wicked man, walking with a forward mouth.
Wait a minute. Wasn't that on our list?
What?
Let's go back to that list real quick. Oh, wait a minute. Went too far out. Let's go back to our list right here. Wicked men, envious, right? We have worldly men, full of folly. Then we got those envious, wicked men, right? See? Big 2. Go ahead, Al.
Verse 13. He winketh with his eyes.
He winketh with his eyes.
He speaketh with his feet.
Speak with his feet, swift to run to mischief. Go ahead, Al.
He teacheth with his fingers.
He teaches with his fingers. See, he's fighting, railing. Go ahead, Al.
Forwardness in his heart.
Wait a minute. See, there it is. A forward man. These 6 of your hour hate. A forward, proud look, right? Go ahead, Al.
He deviseth mischief continually. He soweth discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy.
Without remedy. The Most High been giving us this warning. Remember that big old warning sign I put up there? He gave us these warnings, but we not heeding the warning. See, this is the problem with us. And this comes back from our times of being in captivity, which we're still in a captivity, whether you know it or not. We were put out there, we were put on display because we could dance, we could sing, we could play these instruments. And our captors looked at us and they laughed and they hee and ha, and as soon as it was over, you was put back in your place. But amongst your people, you were hated. Why? Because you got a chance to go out there and tiptoe and tap dance and get all the praise, maybe got some good scrap, right? You get to leave this torment for just a little while. But some of us, we endured it all day long, or like they say back then, all the day long. Working from sundown, from sunup to sundown, getting the last of the scraps. We didn't get to get that piece of chicken that little Susie only ate one bite of and still had the rest of that. You know how your children, you go buy chicken and your kids only take 1 or 2 bites and it still be a whole lot left. See, and when we was out there in them slave quarters working and having to do, we didn't get that. We got left the bone and maybe a little piece of that bone, but we got to eat the gristle inside the bone. But you was in there with your plate handed to you, even though you might have been in the kitchen where you couldn't be seen eating, but you was eating good. And you want to come out here and tell us, oh, the mayor was there. And this, we don't want to hear that. See? They made a distinction between us and say, you have the pick of the litter, and then you have the rest of us. That's where we begin to start to not like one another. Truth be told, slaves didn't like that house, Negro. You was of a different kind. You thought you was better than the rest, but you was still a slave. But in your mind, you thought you was something. Because all the white folks liked you, they loved you, they loved to see old Sambo do his thing. But at the end of the day, Sambo was still a slave. Israel, we still slaves. You a slave to your job. You a slave to your hustle. You a slave to your gang. A slave to your community. You can be a slave to your wife. You can be a slave to your children. But you got to be willing to let all of that go to walk and serve the Most High Yah. But some of us can't. I heard a lady say that her child is her world. What? Your child is your world? But would that child grow up and turn out to be a murderer or a killer because you didn't want to discipline your child, because you didn't want to let your child know the truth about what this world is, and then that child grow up and be a disappointment? No, it's not no disappointment. That's your world. That's your S-O-N shine, your sunshine, huh? That's what happens when you put things and people before the Most High Yah. He said, thou shalt not have any God before me. If your child, if you one of those people that say, my child is my world, my children is my husband, is my life, that's all you live for, you ain't got nothing else to live for. That's it. Don't get confused by when the scriptures say that a married woman tend to the things of her husband and an unmarried woman tend to the things of Yah and the word. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you worship the ground that somebody walk on and you don't give no praise and no homage to the one that created you. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the ones I'm talking about. You're making that person, that thing, that car, that you will pull out your gun. A man pulled out a gun and held a man at gunpoint because he bumped into his side view mirror on his brand new Porsche. So now you gotta be drawn down on with a gun because you bumped my mirror on my car, you hit my car, I'll kill you. Really? Or you get beat up because you stepped on somebody's shoestrings on their brand new Jordan. You stepped on my shoe, I'll beat you up. All those things are more important to you than Yah? Yah forbid, Yah forbid. Did we finish that script? So you shall be broken suddenly without remedy. Let's take a look at that one in the NLT as well. Proverbs 6, 12 through 15. Go ahead.
What are you worthless and wicked people like?
Huh? What?
What are worthless and wicked people like?
Okay, how did this one start?
A naughty person, a wicked man walketh with a forward mouth.
And how does this one start?
What are worthless and wicked people like?
See? Sometimes you need to go to another verse to get that to see what y'all talking about. Go ahead.
They are constant liars.
What? Wait a minute. Hold up. Constantly lying? How many of y'all got somebody that y'all know in y'all family that's always embellishing or what we say stunting? You stunting on me, you know what I'm saying? You know you got one. Everybody got one. It could be you. But everybody got one.
At least one.
At least one. Go ahead,
Signaling their deceit with a wink of the eye.
Oh, man. Come on, man. How many of y'all seen that movie Betty? Oh, like that, huh? Like that, huh? Yeah, we're going to get him. Go ahead,
A nudge of the foot.
Go ahead,
or the wiggle of a finger.
Go ahead.
Their perverted hearts plot evil,
They're perverted, not perverted like that. Go ahead.
and they constantly stir up trouble. But they will be destroyed suddenly,
It's destroyed suddenly.
broken in an instant beyond all hope of healing.
Can't nobody do nothing for you. When you turn to this way, y'all gonna deal with you. And when y'all dealing with you, ain't nothing that nobody can do for you. A lot of people say, oh, man, I'm gonna be all right because my grandmother go to church. My grandmother pray. Your granny go to church. Your granny pray. She can pray till she blue in the face. But if you were not willing to give up the things of this world, the things that you were doing wrong, and submit and subscribe yourself to the Most High Yah, she can pray all day. Her prayer ain't gonna save you. You gotta save yourself.
That's right.
But see, now you understand because it got a little bit more definition. Let's take a look at it in NIV. See, remember how the King James started, right? King James started with saying what? A naughty person, a wicked man. NLT say worthless and wicked people, right? NIV, go ahead.
A troublemaker and a villain.
What? A troublemaker and a villain goes about like what?
A corrupt mouth, who winks maliciously with his eye, signals with his feet, and motions with his fingers, who plots evil with deceit in his heart.
Man.
He always stirs up conflict.
Y'all know somebody like that. Always stirring up conflict. Y'all remember Old Dog on Minister Society? Always in something. Always got something going on. Go ahead, Al.
Therefore, disaster will overtake him in an instant. He will suddenly be destroyed without remedy.
Man, y'all gotta understand, brothers and sisters, this is not a game. This ain't child's play. This is real life, and it's concerning your forever life, your soul. This is your soul that's on the line. Contrary to what you may think or believe, your soul is on the line daily. So there's a blueprint. The Most High gave a blueprint, right? We're talking about men of Yah. And since I came into the truth, I've been blessed to be around brothers that exemplified that were the very example of that. Some brothers that I personally can look up to that I knew would help me along the way. And sometimes, brothers, we need that person in the truth that we can be around that will give us that help, that would, help us align ourselves right, that ain't afraid to call you out when you know you're messing up, when he see you doing wrong, that care enough about you and your salvation to say, brother, that ain't right. You know you ain't doing right. Check yourself. Somebody say, well, what does a man of Yah look like? There's a blueprint. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Go ahead, Yah.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yah and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Man of Yah, plain and simple. Your whole duty is to fear Yah and keep his commandments. He gave us the blueprint. He told us what we needed to do. And along with that blueprint, there came a bunch of instructions. 613 of them. He gave you 10 to simplify it. But that don't mean that the 613 went away. But there are certain conditions. We don't have a temple. We don't have certain things like they had back then, right? But his commandments aren't grievous, so we should be able to keep them, right? He gave us a blueprint.
Gave it to him.
See, men and Yah, how are we supposed to look? How are we supposed to carry ourselves? I had my brother to help me along the way, that cared enough about me to make sure that I was good. That was there to say, hey, brother, if you need anything, you got any questions, if you just need to talk, I'm with you. I care about you. I love you. For some reason, I think as men, we have a problem with telling our brethren that we love them. Why? You say you have the love of Christ or the love of Yahweh in you, but what is his love? If it ain't love for your neighbor, ain't that what he say?
That's what he said.
Treat your neighbor like you treat yourself. So if you love yourself, you will love your brethren. Or, I'm sorry, if you love Yah, you will love your brethren. The next example that I had was my own blood brother. Flesh and blood brother. Some may know him, some may not. But Pastor Gary Dixon, this was the person that y'all used because he knew that it wasn't nobody else that was going to get me to see it. As much as my brother talked to me and pleaded with me and tried to show me, I was in this world. I was, like some of y'all, I was getting money. I wasn't selling drugs or anything like that, but I had a business. I was getting money. I was able to buy any and everything that I wanted. My family was good. My kids was good. We was getting all the worldly things that we wanted. But that doesn't mean that I was happy. That doesn't mean that everything was going good. I had a lot of problems too. But I was able to do and live how I wanted to live, right? I felt like I was good because I believed that Jesus died and he rose on the third day. I believed that he was the Son of God. I just had that belief, so I'm good. I ain't got to worry about nothing. But something changed. And I'm telling y'all right now, when that thing changed, I had nowhere to run to, nowhere to turn to. When my life got flipped upside down, the only place I could run to was the Most High God. It was made evident to me who I needed to be following, where I needed to be. Somebody was tugging, somebody was knocking at that door. I didn't want to answer it, but I had to answer it. Because if I didn't, I honestly don't know if I would be sitting here today in front of you. I can't say that with any surety. My whole life got flipped upside down. And when my brother passed, the Most High knew who to put there to fill that void. And I'm grateful and thankful every day that I have a family of brethren and sisters around me that I can commune with that's like-minded, that's on the same page. We trying to do this thing right. We trying to get it right. We trying to walk as close and as like the Most High as we could, as we can, by our means that we have here on this earth. Regardless of what anybody else is doing, it does not matter. My walk, our walk matters to me because at the end of the day, we all in charge of our own salvation. But you need to get yourself around some brothers who care about you truly, who ain't afraid to tell you when you're messing up. Who can help you get yourself aligned back right. Some of y'all may not have been fortunate enough to meet my brother, have a brother like my brother, have a brother like my brother that's sitting next to me. But if you don't have nobody in your so-called camps that you can turn to like that, then you need to start looking at that camp that you in and start figuring out if that's where you need to be.
Yes, sir.
Here's that question again. Are you a true man of God? Are you? We just came from the beginning to this halfway point and we've learned a lot thus far. But now it's going to get intense because there are some specifics, right? We got the warning. We saw what the big two was. Now let's start laying it down. Let's start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Psalms 112. So let's start to make sense of this thing. Brother Mike, you said a lot. Brother Mike, you hurt my feelings. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. ahead when you got it out.
Psalms 112, verse 1. Praise ye Yah. Blessed is the man that feared Yah, delighted greatly in his commandments.
In his commandments. See, we read Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Fear Yah and keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. I told you had to be delighted to walk. You can't be a hater of yourself. You have to be delighted to walk in the ways of Yah. You have to be delighted to walk and keep his commandments, because his commandments are life.
That's right.
His word is life to those that submit themselves to it. Go ahead,
His seed shall be mighty upon the earth.
See, this is what happens when you align the right with the Most High. Your seed shall be mighty upon the earth, not mighty like you think. Go ahead,
The generation of the upright shall be blessed.
Your generations, if you walk upright, is going to be blessed. Go ahead,
Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth forever.
Now, I ain't Dollar or any of them folks, and I ain't going to tell you that this wealth, I'm not telling you that the Most High wants you to be rich. See, they'll look at this and say, see, the Lord said you're going to have riches, you're going to have all this and that. No. See, this is what we think he's talking about. Riches. See, this is what the world and Christianity wants you to think. If you follow Jesus, right? Jesus is going to lead you to this. But we follow the Most High Yah.
That's right.
See, this is what Jesus is going to lead you to. And that teaching of Jesus, that following Jesus, you're going to get money, you're going to get that house, you're going to get all the cars, it's going to have all the women that you want to see. You go back to that scripture saying, wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endure forever. Wealth and riches, that's what you want to hear, right? Yeah, Brother Mike, thank you, that's what I was waiting on. No. We aligning ourselves right with the Most High, right? Okay, let's see what the Most High say wealth and riches are. Proverbs 22 and 4. Go ahead, Al.
Proverbs 22 and 4. By humility and the fear of Yah are riches and honor and life.
I didn't make it up. I didn't say it. Yah said it. See, when you hear riches and that, you know, the Most High will bless you with the desires of your heart, you're thinking money, cars, worldly wealth, worldly dominion. No. Honor, humility, fear of the Most High. These are riches according to Yah. These are the riches that you should want to have, that you should want to be known for. When you leave this earth, somebody should say that brother was rich in the Most High.
That's right.
That brother was rich in Yah. His family was blessed in Yah. His children were blessed in Yah. That's what a man of Yah should want his name to proceed after him once he leaves this place. I don't want y'all to say, Brother Mike made a whole bunch of money. He had a whole lot of money. He bought a whole lot of things. That means nothing without Yah. You can have all the money in the world and still end up in the lake of fire.
That's right.
If you think that the Most High wants you to be rich, it says it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to inherit the kingdom of Yah. Why would I want to be rich? Why do y'all want to be rich? Money is a necessity. We need that to buy the things that we have to have, like clothes, food, raiment. That's what the Most High said we should want to have and what we need money for. Anything outside of that is a want.
Yeah.
We need to focus on the things that we need, that's going to get us, that we can survive off of, that'll keep us aligned with the Most High. It ain't cars, it ain't how much money you got in the bank, it ain't what kind of clothes and shoes that you wear. Those things are important to the world and the worldly man. Y'all don't care nothing about no Gucci. He don't care nothing about no Louis. He don't care nothing about Jordan. He don't care nothing about Yeezy. If they ain't followers of his word, they mean nothing to him.
Nothing at all.
Let's go to Psalms 128, and we're going to read verses 1 through 6. See, we got to put the pieces to the puzzle together the right way. Read it when you got it. Huh?
Psalms 128, verse 1. Blessed is everyone that feareth Yah, that walketh in his ways.
See? You got to fear God and walk in his ways, because it says, blessed is everyone. Go ahead, huh?
For thou shalt eat the labor of thine hand. Happy shalt thou be, and it shall be well with thee.
See, the labor with your hands, when you got land, you able to go out there and till that ground and put those grains and that seed in that ground, and you see those things rise, and you able to give your first fruit. Don't that make you feel good?
Good.
Come on now, go ahead.
Thy wife shall be as a fruitful vine by the sides of thine house.
See, even your wife is going to be fruitful. Go ahead, huh?
Thy children like olive plants round about thy table. Behold, that thus shall the man be blessed that feareth Yah.
That shall the man be blessed that feareth Yah. Some of these pastors say, God doesn't want you to fear him. What? What am I supposed to do with him then? He wants you to love. You got to understand what the fear of Yah is according to Yah and what man thinks the fear of Yah is. You got to understand what Yah's will is and what his ways are versus what man think they are. You don't want to find yourself being accused of being a respected person. Because with Yah, there is no respected person. Go ahead, Yah.
Yah shall bless thee out of Zion, and thou shalt see the good of Jerusalem all the days of thy life. Yeah. Thou shalt see thy children's children, and shalom upon Yasharallah.
Come on, man. How many of y'all want to grow old and be able to see your children's children sprout up? That's what I want. I want to be able to see my sons marry and have children and see them have children. That is a blessing. Right now, we only guarantee 70 years. To live beyond that and say, what? It's a blessing. I know y'all don't want to be blessed. It say blessed is the man that fear God and keep his commandments. Doing Yah's work. Contrary to popular belief, faith without works is dead. And you're going to be judged according to your works. So if you can work to do anything, it should be doing the work of Yah. And you should be pleased to do it. It should fare well with you.
That's right.
Exodus 18. We're going to read verse 21 first. Then we're going to go back and read verse 20. Read it when you got it, Yah. All right.
Exodus 18 and 21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Yah.
Wait a minute. See, it's coming up a lot. You're hearing that thing over and over and over again, right? Fear Yah. Why is it? Why is that being said a lot? Why is fearing Yah a part of the blueprint that the Most High put out there? Because some of y'all don't fear Yah. Some of y'all think y'all are Yah. Some of y'all are taking the things that Yah said He's going to do, and you trying to extract those things and do those things yourselves. Yes, the Most High said that we are gods. Not now. You are a fleshly man.
That's right.
You can bleed. You can die. If you were a God right now, you would be spirit. Gods don't die. Spirit. Spirit. No flesh and blood is going to be able to commune and be around with the Father. The only way you can be with the Father is to be in what? Spirit and in truth. Go ahead, y'all.
Men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers over thousands, and rulers over hundreds, rulers over 50s, and rulers over 10s.
See, there was a blueprint. There was instructions. You had to be provided men that are able men, right?
That's right.
That fear God and men of truth, hating covetousness. Wasn't covetousness on our list?
That was on the list.
See? Come on, brothers and sisters. This is not elementary school. This is our life. This is your soul. You gotta get it right now. You gotta get it right now while you got a chance. Listen to the words of Yah. Block my voice out. Hear Yah. I'm just a vessel. It's repetitive. It's repetitive. And you know why it's repetitive? Because we are constantly and repetitively failing to be true men of Yah.
That's right.
Verse 20. Verse 20, Yah, go ahead.
And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do.
We gotta do work?
We gotta do the work, huh?
Didn't we hear that before?
We heard it before.
You gotta do work. Stop thinking that standing out here on these corners telling Gentiles that they're gonna be your slave and this is work. That ain't work.
That ain't work. Sure ain't.
That's not work. Putting a booth on the sidewalk on man's Sabbath is not work. Teaching your brethren, teaching your family, teaching those that come into the fold when they get that realization, when Yah wake them up and send them to you.
That's right.
Being able to teach them, being able to teach that brother so he can teach his family. Sisters being able to grab that young sister, the elders, and show her how to be a wife, show her how to be a mother, show her how to be a true daughter of Zion.
That's right.
That's where it is. But we know everything. We don't want to be taught. We doing the work. We out in these streets. We doing the work of Yah. Y'all see us out here. We friends up. That's what y'all sound like on y'all videos when I turn them on. Yeah, man. We got all about our kings. We out here doing the work of Yah. That's not work, brothers. I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying. That's not work.
Check yourself.
Check yourselves, man. That ain't work. That ain't what Yah told us to do. That's what you want to do because you read in scripture what Yah said he was going to do.
Come on now.
And you chose that to be the platform that you built your church on, that you built your camp on, and your leader supports it 100%. That's not of Yah. You can gather more flies with honey than you can with venom. Come on, y'all. Stop thinking outside of the box. It doesn't require that. It requires you to just follow instructions. Period, point blank. But we want to be super brew. We want to be super Israel. You can't be super nothing without Yah.
Come on now. That's right.
You gotta have an understanding. See, this is why there's so much hatred and separatism and so much going on in Israel that why we can't quorum Yahchanan. Because you would tell me that I ain't a real Israelite because I ain't out there doing what you're doing. I'm gonna tell you, you wrong, brother. Show me in the script where Yah told you to do this. And don't go reading the scripture, we gotta cry loud. Come on, man. It's time for y'all to stop using that scripture in the wrong way. Stop using that scripture to be a thorn against your brethren. To make it seem like they're not doing something because they choose to do it by the script. And you trying to be outside the box. You're doing it to be seen. And what people see is hurting us, brothers.
They don't like it.
We gotta call on the name of Yah.
Hallelujah.
You may not want to say Yahweh. You may not want to say Yahweh. You may not want to say Yahuwah. You may not want to say Yeshua, Yehoshua. Just say Yah. Long as you ain't saying Jesus. Because there is nothing good for an Israelite person, man or woman, other than Jesus.
That came good.
Ain't nothing came good for us. It's the most popular name amongst the Gentiles. Why? Because the Gentiles made him up.
Come on now.
That's their God. That's who they worship.
That's right. Make it plain.
That's who their European ancestors made for them to worship.
That's right.
To get rid of your God.
That's
Come
right.
on now. That's right.
They took your God and his attributes and gave it to their God. Put a little bit of fluff on them, made them like them.
A little paint.
Made them different from what the scripture describes. Blonde hair, blue eye. They used a murderer and a criminal. I mean, come on, man. They took the image of a murderer and a criminal because he looked like Zeus. And said, this, yeah, him right there. He looked like, looked like God.
That's our God.
Hey, Leonardo, paint him. Right there, yeah. You see what I'm saying? But y'all don't know that because y'all don't study history and script. Y'all don't know how to align the two. See? You don't read the Apocrypha. See? You don't know about Serapis Christos. You don't know about Constantine. How can you be a grown person today? I was born in the 80s. And I'm saying this. If you from that era to now, how can you be in this Israelite walk and not know about Constantine? How can you not know that the letter J is only 500 years old? Only. And how was I supposed to be around over 3,000 years ago? Come on, it don't make sense. We don't even know if we 3,000 years from his death, from his life or what. We just going by what we are told. But I guarantee you, if more of us got together and sat down and read these books and put the history with it, took the Jubilees and took Enoch and took the things out of it that align and put it together and more of us start being the example of what the answer is, that will be a trend amongst Israel. The more of Israel will be aligned with the Most High.
That's right. Go ahead.
Romans 10 and 14. See, we got to call on the name of God. But we're going to find out why some of us ain't and can't. Read it when you got it out.
Romans 10, verse 14. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed?
See, they ain't believing in y'all. Why don't they believe in y'all? Go ahead.
And how shall they believe in him whom they have not heard?
Because you ain't never heard of Yahweh. You ain't never heard of Yahweh. You ain't never heard of Yah. You only know and hear Jesus. Go ahead,
And how shall they hear without a preacher?
Without a what?
Without a preacher.
Come on,
And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things.
See, we ain't preaching no peace on these streets. We preaching hatred, murder. Y'all not understanding what y'all saying. What y'all talking about is murder. That's what y'all really saying. Because if you kill any white person, any Gentile, whether you an Israelite or not, that's murder and you going to jail. Still murder. That's unlawful bloodshed. Because that blood don't belong to you, man. It belongs to the Most High. We got to align ourselves right. We doing right wrong. We doing wrong right. And some of us ain't doing nothing at all. Galatians 6 and 6, huh? We're going to put these pieces of this puzzle together and we're going to be able to examine ourselves. We're going to be able to check ourselves at the end of this. We almost done.
Galatians 6 and 6.
Go ahead.
Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things.
See, now I want y'all to pay attention to this real good because we just learned that you can't know, hear, or believe in God unless you've heard of him, unless you had a preacher to teach it to you, right? But this says, let him that is taught in the word, right? Communicate unto him teacher himself? Who is that person? Who teaches the teacher? How can you learn? Like I said, you have to follow at some point, but at some point you have to be the one to lead. Followers create leaders. Leaders create other leaders. It says that him that is taught in the word, communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. If I'm the elder and I have generals or deacons under me that's out here spreading the word, if I'm in charge of making sure that my deacons are out there teaching the right thing, I still have to be taught in the word myself. I can't just make up things and tell these brothers this and say this is what we're going to go by. Like some of these places do, this is my word, my church, and what I say, no, that ain't it. That's not what the Most High is saying right here. You have to be well versed in the things of Yah in order to teach them to somebody else. And it has to be done in all good things so they can teach to somebody else. The teacher has to be a student at some point. Ecclesiastes 12, we're going to read verse 9 through 10. See, we just put the pieces to the puzzle together. We are building this man of Yah right here, right now. See, if you didn't know what it looked like before, if you didn't have that example, we got the blueprint. So now we're building this man of Yah. Check yourselves, brother. Check yourself. Because I'm sure some of y'all said, oh, I'll do all this already. We're going to see. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 9 through 10. Go ahead,
And moreover, because the preacher was wise,
oh, he had to be wise, huh? Okay.
he still taught the people knowledge. Yeah, he gave good heed and sought out and set in order many proverbs.
Go ahead.
The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright.
Even what?
Even words of truth.
Words of man.
Words of truth.
Words of other guys.
Words of truth.
Words of other books.
Words of truth.
Words of the presidents and words of the Pope and all of that.
Words of truth.
Words of truth. See, the preacher was wise. He still taught the people knowledge.
That's right.
Yeah, he gave good heed. Remember that warning we had? We ain't heeding the warning. Deuteronomy 6, verses 1 through 2. See? Yah is repetitive because he knew that Israel was hard-headed, stiff-necked, right? Ain't that what he said?
That's what he said.
Go ahead, Al.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, the judgments, which Yah, your Elohim, commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it.
So wherever you are, wherever you stay, the commandments, you're supposed to be keeping them and doing them. Go ahead, Al.
That thou mightest fear Yahweh thy Elohim.
There you go again. Fear.
Fear.
Go ahead, Al.
That thou mightest fear Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep all the statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy sons sons, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged.
See? You, your sons, and your sons' sons, that your days may be prolonged. See, right now we think we got infinite time, but we don't. We don't. We don't have that time like Methuselah and them, living 800 years, 900 years. See? That was taken away from us. Right now, a woman would be blessed to have a baby at 99, 100 years old. But that ain't happening, man. Because we have strayed so far away from our Elohim, and we trying to do things on our own, we can't even find our way back. Can't find our way back. And since we can't find the way, since we don't know what, we don't even try to seek it out, so we just give up. Come on, that's not what Yah is telling us to do. He don't want us to give up. Proverbs 22 and 6, see, we learn it now. We just said our sons and your sons' sons, right?
Right.
The blueprint. Why? Because when you gone, your children are the men next ones to lead the next generation. And when that son is gone, his son's gonna be the next. That's why you're responsible for you, your sons, and your sons' sons.
That's right.
Go ahead, huh?
Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
He will not depart from it when he is old. When he's young, he's subject to do anything, but you want that thing to be ingrained from him from the time that he can understand and comprehend, so that when he is old, not while he's young, when he is old, he won't depart from it.
Right.
But what are you going to teach him? Let's go back to Deuteronomy. Now, we some of this you don't hear because we read it every day. Not every day, but every Shabbat. Go ahead,
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
Teach them what?
Teach them the truth.
Come on,
And shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
Talk about what?
The truth.
Come on,
And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes.
Bind up what?
The truth.
Come on,
And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house, and upon thy gates.
Write what?
The word, the truth.
Come on,
Deuteronomy 6, verse 20. And when thy sons asketh thee in time to come,
because there's going to come a time when your son going to say, Dad, what does this mean? Go ahead,
what mean the testimonies, the statutes, the judgments which Yah or Elohim hath commanded you? Then thou shalt say unto thy son, we were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt, and Yah brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and Yah showed us. Do you want to keep going?
Just stop at 21.
All right. Then thou shalt say unto thy son, we were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt, and Yah brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand.
All right. Now, it's saying that, then thou shalt say unto thy son. Let's go to Leviticus 19:3. I should have you stop at son Salaki. Because now we're going to find out what you're going to say to your son. These things right here. Go ahead.
Leviticus 19:3. Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Shabbats. I am Yah, your Elohim.
So, it says, in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 20, it says, and when thy son asks thee in time to come, saying, what mean the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Yah, Elohim, hath commanded you, then you shall say to your son, this right here.
Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep his Sabbaths. I am Yah, your Elohim.
I am Yah. This is what you're going to tell your son. Go ahead, Deuteronomy 86. Salaki. This is what you're going to tell your son.
Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 6. And it reads, therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of Yah, thy Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him.
Keep the commandments, son. Walk in Yah's ways, son. Fear him, son. This is what you're going to tell your son. And this is what he's going to tell his son. And his son. And his son.
That's right.
1 Peter 2:17. We almost done. We almost done building up this man of Yah. See, we started with the elder, broke it down to the child, and we building up this man of Yah from a child, as the Most High said. Go ahead, Yah.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 17. Honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear Yah, honor the king.
This is what you're going to tell your sons. See? It's an order. It's a blueprint. It started with the preacher. It started with the man of Yah that taught the father. Now the father got to go and teach the son.
That's right.
See? I don't know if y'all been keeping up, but we started somewhere and now we building up that man of Yah from a child, because it said train up a child.
That's right.
Now we're training up this child because the father already learned from the elder, from the preacher, Salaki, and the preacher already learned from the elder learned from Yah.
That's right.
Now we training up that child. Deuteronomy 6, we're going to read verse 5 through 6 and then drop down through 17.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. And it reads, and thou shalt love Yah thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
That's right.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of Yah your Elohim, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he hath commanded thee.
See, this is what you're telling your son. You're keeping this on the heart, which is the mind of your son. Ephesians chapter 5. We're going to read verses 5 through 7. Then we'll drop down and read 9 through 10. Then we'll drop down and read 15 through 18. And we'll end it with 20 through 21.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 5. For this ye know that no whoremongers, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, hath any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of Yah.
And why did it just say of Christ? If Christ was the God, if he was God Almighty himself, why did it say Christ and God? Because there is a Father and there is a Son. Let's not be fooled. Be not deceived. Go ahead,
Let no man deceive you with vain words.
Yeah.
For because of these things cometh the wrath of Yah upon the children of disobedience.
See that man deceiving you, telling you that they all wrapped up in one? There's going to be wrath coming upon you. Go ahead,
Be not ye therefore partakers with them.
Why not?
Verse 9. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth.
And true. Go ahead,
Proving what is acceptable unto Yah.
Go ahead.
Verse 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise.
Yeah.
Verse 16. Redeeming the time, because the days are evil.
These days are evils, brethren. These days are evil. You see it. You see what's going on. Go ahead,
Wherefore, be ye not unwise, but understand what the will of Yah is.
You gotta understand what the will of Yah is. Stop praying for the things you want and start praying that the will of Yah be done over your life, brothers. Go ahead,
And be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit.
Filled with the Spirit. Go ahead,
Verse 20. Giving thanks always for all things unto Yah and thy Father in the name of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach.
That's right.
Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of Yah.
I don't know how many more times we gotta see it, or how many more times the Most High gotta say it. Fear. Deuteronomy 6 and 24.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 24. And Yah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh our Elohim for our good always.
Always.
That he might preserve us alive as it is at this day.
That's right. See, we gotta understand, we gotta fear always. Always. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 12 and 14. Ecclesiastes, Salaki, 12 and 14.
Ecclesiastes 12 and 14. For Yah shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
See? That's why you have to do all these statutes to fear Yah, our Elohim, for the good always. Because he is going to bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Works. You gotta do them. Let's go to Proverbs 6. We're going to read 20 through 23.
Proverbs chapter 6, verse 20. My son, keep thy father's command and forsake not the love of thy mother. Verse 21, bind them continually upon thine heart and tie them about thy neck.
That's right. Go
When
ahead.
thou goest, it shall lead thee, and when thou sleepest, it shall keep thee, and when thou awakest, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
Listen, brothers. This is the blueprint. These are the commandments that Yah gave to us. This is what he laid out. You say that you are a man of Yah. You say that you are a man of God. Check yourself. He gave us a warning. Told us, showed us the big two. Laid out a blueprint. We built up the man. And we built up a man of Yah from a child up. Are you a true man of Yah? Please, brethren, examine yourselves. Go back to this lesson. Look at it. Go back to these scripts. Read them for yourself. Examine yourselves. Do you exemplify what Yah said his servant is? Not what your camp leader or your pastor, your more say a servant in his church is. Because if you're a true man of Yah, then we all should look alike. We all should sound alike. We should all be saying and teaching the same things. We should walk alike. We should all be aligned aright, brothers and sisters. If you don't have any examples of real men in Yah in your congregation, look amongst the brothers in your congregation. These are some of the brothers here at the Multitude of Christ Ministries. And I consider these brothers to be real men of Yah. I know that these brothers are going to strive with me. We're going to fight together. We're going to get it in script. We're going to read together. We're going to sharpen each other. We're going to call each other out when we're failing. And when we're down, we're going to go and lift each other up. Because that's what Yah said to do. That's right. Find some of these brothers amongst your brethren and align yourself with these brothers. And y'all together align yourselves right with the Most High. If your pastor, your moray ain't aligning himself right with the Most High, you be the example. Be different. Let's go ahead and read our closing scripture.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, verse 24. But unto them that repent, he granted them return, and comforted those that failed in patience.
See, you gotta be patient. You gotta be patient. But don't worry. Yah got your back. He understands. Go ahead.
Return unto Yah, and forsake thy sins. Make thy prayer before his face, and offend less.
Stop sinning. Right now. You got time while you have breath in your body. While your blood is still running warm in your veins, as they say in Sunday church. Go back to Yah right now, brothers and sisters. Go ahead, Yah.
Turn again to the Most High, and turn away from iniquity. For he will lead thee out of darkness into the light of health, and hate thou abomination vehemently.
I want to thank you all for tuning in today on the Most High Shabbat. I hope that you have learned something from this lesson today. I hope that you have been edified by the script and by the word of Yah. I hope that it has pricked you as a man of Yah to examine yourself. And if you're not aligned right, make a change. Just go ahead and close out. I'm going to read our closing scriptures from Numbers chapter 6.
Repeat after me. Numbers chapter 6, verse 22. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying,
And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying,
Speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying,
Speak unto Aaron and unto his son,
children of Yahshua,
You shall bless the children of Yahshua,
saying unto them,
saying unto them,
Yahweh bless thee,
Yahweh bless thee,
and keep thee,
and keep thee.
Yahweh make his face shine upon thee,
Yahweh make his face shine upon
and
thee,
be gracious unto thee,
and be gracious unto thee.
and Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee,
And Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee,
and give thee peace.
and give thee peace.
And they shall put my name Yahweh
And they shall put my name Yahweh
upon the children of Yahshua,
upon the children of Yahshua,
and I will bless them.
bless them. Yahweh, Barak, Yahweh Shah.
Yahweh Barak, Yahweh Shah,
Yahweh, Barak, Yahshua.
Yahweh Barak, Yahshua,
Yahweh, Barak, Maspakah.
Yahweh Barak, Mashpachah,
Yahweh, Barakathah.
Yahweh Barakathah.
Hallelujah.
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 Sisters and brothers, you are dismissed.
God bless.
God bless.
Welcome to the